Welcome to
Parsec Passion, a podcast about Disney Plus Star Wars TV shows. Now we're talking about the Book of Boba Fett, Season 1, Chapter 4, The Gathering Storm. My name's Bubba, and with me, as always, is that bloated pig who double-crossed me. It's Catfish.
Oh, Bubba, that's hurtful. I've only ever crossed you at the poker table, which is quite a coincidence because tonight, on this episode, reminds me of all the times that you and I went to Vegas, Bubba. Yeah. We always lost an arm and a leg.
No.
But I am super excited tonight, Bubba.
Super excited.
For two reasons. Number one, because we are the number one most awesome Boba Fett podcast.
Okay.
We had an insider send us cutscenes from tonight's episode. So we're going to have access to things that you will hear on no other podcast. But that is the least of the reasons why I'm excited about tonight, Bubba.
What's the second reason? Yeah.
We have a flippin' special guest, a rock star in the podcast world. He's your very own Boba Fett.
He is.
W. Axel Foley
from the Daily DVR podcast. Axel, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, folks. It's great to be here. I feel like we already did the podcast and we're already here doing it. It's wonderful.
Warm. We are warm.
It's wonderful.
We are. Today we're going to be breaking down the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 4, Season 1, The Gathering Storm, or as it's also known, Wookiee Mistakes. And we've made some Wookiee mistakes trying to get this podcast off the ground and going. And so we're going to just dive right in and give you our ratings for Chapter 4, The Gathering Storm. Catfish, what did you rate Chapter 4?
I was going to give today's episode double B scale.
Wait, double B scale?
Yes. I always watch the show with the subtitles. You get some cool stuff. And there was a lot of bellowing banthas tonight. But in the end, I decided I had to put it on the quadruple M scale.
Quadruple M?
Yes. Montages with modifications that also have monstrous musicals. Something like that.
Didn't get any better.
It got worse.
Oh, no.
It got worse. This is bad tidings. I am going to give it 8 quadruple M's out of 10.
Oh, okay.
It was a little slow, and I was like, where are we when we were having that, like, rock synth musical montage? But there was a lot of fun stuff. Just some fun, silly action, which is really Star Wars-y to me. Everybody has their own Star Warsiness, which is why there are hundreds of podcasts, none as good as this one, and there are so many fans in the Star Wars universe. But that's me. What about you?
Catfish, every episode I've given 7 out of 10. So for Chapter 4, I'm going to switch it up a bit.
Do it.
And still give it 7, what I like to call triple S's out of 10.
Triple S's?
Yes, well, hey. If you're an animal wildlife person on Tatooine like I am, you really get heartbroken to see sonically Sarlacc slaughtered. Or Sarlacc slaughtered sonically. When you drop a sonic bomb on an innocent Sarlacc, that's not cool. Every chapter has something fun that I love. In this one, we had the silly droids in the kitchen. We had the respectful way Boba Fett shot the bike gang in the back while they were minding their own business.
Yeah.
We had the Sarlacc versus the starship, and we had a character I just always love. He might be challenging Grogu for fun. It's Black Krrsantan's irritations at the Sanctuary. Why am I always stuck on 7 out of 10? So there's always moments in these episodes that I just get tickled with. I just love. But there's something about the lethargic pace of Boba and his bantha going back and forth across the desert. And too often our protagonist, Boba, he doesn't know the things that we as an audience do know. So we're like smarter than him. And we're like, dude, you want to know where your armor is? Watch The Mandalorian. You'll know it's with Timothy Oliphant's Cobb Vanth character. And
Boba can't afford Disney Plus.
No, Republic credits? No, of course he can't afford it. I want Boba to start kicking butt like he did in The Mandalorian, and then I'm probably going to be over the moon. But for 4 weeks in a row, 7 out of 10. Hey, Axel, before you give us your rating of this chapter, what have you thought of the Book of Boba Fett so far?
You know, I've enjoyed it. I watch these shows with my son, who's 9 years old. His name is Lachlan. Actually, he provided me, I remembered the notes this time.
wow.
So
Wow.
I have some notes.
Great.
I can't really read them. I'm probably going to need a universal translator. I think it says Fennec. Okay.
All right.
But he got that right. But overall, I've really enjoyed it. This one is a bit slower. And I do think that the decision to split it up between the two timelines has not really paid off. You're either going to have a narrative payoff or a character payoff when you do that kind of different structure with it. But in this case, as you've said, we already get most of the payoff in another show. So it's not really helping us that much to see these two timelines, though I enjoy them both. I'm not really favoring one over the other.
Oh, that's
I just
interesting.
I don't really see the point of it. I think this is a fun one, but a bit slower. I would have thought by this point, especially this episode, we would have really picked up more with the more present timeline and let us see what's really going to happen there. But so far, I'm enjoying it, but it's kind of on the lower end of the Disney Plus series that I have enjoyed so far. That's what I call it. I'm a little French, so I say Plus.
Oh, yeah,
Excellent.
Disney Plus.
What's your rating for chapter 4?
Well, I'm going to have to give it 6 out of 10 triple M's. Double triple M's, I mean.
Wait, whoa.
double triple
M's.
Yes. Double triple.
That's incredible. What do you mean?
Meandering, mushy midpoint, missing Mando masculinity.
Oh, boy.
Well, our work here is done. That is all. That is
Good
the
night,
best.
everyone.
Right, that's the end of the podcast.
If only. It only took us an hour to get to that point.
Wonderful. So 6 out of 10 still feels a bit low. Any other thoughts about this episode before we dive into it, Axel?
I love all the Star Wars stuff. I always do. So just being in this universe makes me happy. But I do think that they took a chance with this narrative. It's not really hooking me. I think it's making things a little bit more confusing. Mm-hmm. And instead of us seeing the growth of this Boba Fett character, we're kind of seeing him go back and forth. So again, meandering. I wish that for the next couple, how many episodes are left of this?
3.
There's only 3 more.
There's only 7.
See,
So this is the halfway point. This is past the halfway point.
Yeah, they've got to kick this into higher gear here. Mando's got to step on the old gas.
You know, that's
Boba, not Mando. Sorry.
Either one.
It's an interesting point, Axel, because besides, we've talked about on the podcast that the two timelines don't even inform each other, really. Because they don't inform each other, it feels like usually when we have a show like this, someone grows and learns and they get stronger. But what's happening is he's still struggling in both timelines.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's a little weird because you'd like to see it go up. And the only reason that it's kind of going up rather than up, down, up is because they're interspersing the timelines instead of doing it chronologically.
Hold on. What if the idea is Boba built this tribe? He built this family, this support group in the past. They all got slaughtered. And then he built a different support group with the Mod Speeder Bike Gang, Black Chrysantan, the Gamorrean Guards. He built up a new group. And then at the end of this season, they also get slaughtered.
Well, that would be super upbeat and Disney-y.
That's hopeful.
Yeah, I really love where you're going with
times.
this. I mean, if anybody's listened to any podcast with Bubba, is it any surprise that he has hashtag Team Sarlacc?
Oh, hey now. Hey, guys, that's our opinion. We love to say here on the Parsec Passion podcast, who cares what we think? We care what you think. Reach out to us and tell us what you think. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at PHQ. That's the word double single letter P for podcast, HQ for headquarters, at PHQ on Twitter and Instagram. On Facebook, you can go facebook.com/PHQ. For all your 9-year-olds who love YouTube, you can go to youtube.com/C for channel/P Media. Find us. We want you on this journey. Now, last week, Chapter 3, it really seemed to split the fandom. We have these instant polls up after the episode. Last week, Chapter 3 on our instant poll, 25% of the respondents called the episode poor. This week, it seems like we're on the uptick. Now, again, we put this out right after the episode's live. Not everybody's had a chance to see the episode yet, even though we're going to leave this poll up for 7 days. So you can go to @PHQ and vote for it if you can. This episode, a lot more positive. We had 53% of our respondents said the episode was brilliant. 35% said it was good. 10% said it was fair, but only 2.5% said this week was poor, where last week it was 25%. So people much more positive this week.
You know what, Bubba? I appreciate this, and I appreciate the people that listen to this because I feel like I'm a little hard on it. We've got sometimes you're a little hard on it. But I appreciate that those people who love it stick with us, even though sometimes we're a little hard on it.
And we're very silly listeners. We love you. And to celebrate you, if you subscribe or follow us on any platform, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Audible, Stitcher, however you listen to us, if you follow and or subscribe to the podcast, however you just pay attention, if you take a screen grab that you follow or subscribe to us, send us that screen grab anyway, like our buddy Crail Schroeder did on Facebook. You can do it on Twitter, Instagram, however you do it. You're going to be eligible to win one of these great Book of Boba Fett t-shirts we're going to be giving out at the end of the season. These things are sweet. I've got pictures of them on social media. And because I love this new character, Black Krrsantan, so much, I got an extra t-shirt we're going to be giving away of him. How do you do it? Once again, just send a screen grab of you showing that you subscribe or follow to the podcast. Send it to us. You'll be entered to win. When we cover Chapter 7, we're going to pull names from the hat and give away all these great T-shirts. We love you.
Bubba, I just want to make a special plea out to anybody. If anybody listened to this podcast on Heart Radio, please hit me up at CJGman67. I'm just curious.
Do you listen to iHeartRadio? I don't listen to I have to be
honest. That's what I want to know. I want to know who's listening to us on iHeartRadio. That would be a blast.
All right. Well, hey, I'll dig into the stats in a bit. Maybe while you guys are talking, I'll find out how many people are downloading or listening on iHeartRadio for each podcast. But hey, before we get into this episode, guys, I want to talk about the Star Wars controversy of the week. There seems to always be one. Last week, there was a controversy because some people didn't like the mods who were on their scooters, like the London mods riding their Vespas through Mos Espa. And they were called the mods not only because they were like mods, but also they were modifying their body. This week, the controversy has been going on a while, but now it's come to the forefront. When Boba Fett was introduced back in 1980, and you want to buy the spaceship Boba Fett flew around with, it was named the Slave One. That was the name of this spaceship. Just like Han Solo and Chewie fly the Millennium Falcon, Boba Fett flew the Slave One. Well, Disney purchased Star Wars, and they didn't want their spaceship or anything associated with their billion-dollar property, their intellectual property, to bring up thoughts about slaves because of the United States and, let's be honest, the world's terrible history with slavery. So officially, you're not going to see new merchandise, I should say, that's talking about the Slave One. The Slave One is Boba Fett's ship. Instead, it's going to refer to the type of ship it is. And in the Star Wars lore all these years, the Slave One was known as a model of a ship known as the Firespray 31 class patrol and attack craft. Listeners, we want to know what you think. Are you upset that Disney is daring to change this name that you assume was approved by George Lucas back in 1980 when he was selling these toys? I should point out, Slave One has never been mentioned in live-action Star Wars ever. It's only in, on toys or in books that you might see. So, listeners, tell us what you think. Once again, at PHQ on Twitter and Instagram. YouTube, leave those comments. How do you feel about this ship being rebranded? Do you care? Co-host, let me go to you real quick. Do you guys care, or is it good that Disney is trying to say, hey, you know what, we don't need to be attached to this possibly thing that's going to cause hurt or pain or serious stuff? Axel, what do you think? Do you think it's a big deal, or are you like, no big deal, just move on with it?
Well, I got to tell you, I am really, really upset about this. It was very important to me that this ship was called
Man,
Slave
you had me there for a little bit. All right.
It was one of the most important things in my life. Honestly, it's in my wedding vows. I should tell you, folks. I want to give a spoiler for my YouTube video of my wedding, but I don't care. Listen, the way I feel about all this stuff is, why not make the world a nicer place? I remember finding out the name of this ship when I was a kid, and it did give you kind of like a spooky feeling. Mm-hmm. Then later, when the prequels came out, I thought, oh, hey, perhaps this is somehow a reference to Boba Fett being a clone, right? Like slave master, he's the clone, like in computers, and they don't call it that in computers anymore either, the hard drives, right?
They don't even call that in real estate. They no longer they refer to it as the owner's suite. They don't they don't call it a master bedroom anymore.
Right. And I'm all about that. That's fine with me. Hey, I think that anything we can do to make people feel better about shit, why not can I curse on this? Make them feel better.
Well, now Lachlan's going to have to hear some bad words. But...
Oh, he's never heard me curse before.
Oh, okay, good. Catfish, do you have a thought about this? Is it fine to just move past this? And once again, you would have to be kind of a diehard Star Wars fan to even know the name of the ship. How do you feel about this? Is this Disney insulting George's legacy or no big deal? What do you think?
I feel like if you're going to do these kinds of things or retain these kind of things, you have to do it for a purpose. If it doesn't mean anything, then move on. I also think it's better than the original name that Disney wanted to change it to, which was Uncle Remus. So
that's terrible.
I say move on, Disney.
Splash Mountain is done. Hey, listeners, that's our thought. We always say we want to know what you think. Once again, write us, tell us anything's okay. But we did want to bring that up to show that we're listening to all the Star Wars gossip and talk that's out there. Hey, let's dive in to this episode and break it down. The episode is about 70%, right at the beginning of the episode, is about Boba's back to dreams, while the remaining 30% is what's going on in the Daimyo drama. So, guys, let's dive in. Let's talk about the Bacca dream, which starts this episode. So Boba, he's lost all his friends. He's lost his Tusken tribe, but he does have a bantha, and he's riding it over to Bib's palace, I assume.
Heck yes.
He needs his ship to get revenge. When he gets to the palace, he realizes there are #too many guards. And he doesn't have his armor anymore.
It's too bad he left all his friends behind to die. They could have helped him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? They could have, but they didn't. Bad friends. No. And we find out Boba's been doing this a while. He kind of talks to his bantha like, well, still too many guards again today. Let's ride away. And so Boba is kind of trapped. He doesn't have his armor. He doesn't have his ship. He has his gaffy stick and a rifle, but that's certainly not enough to break into Bib's palace and get his ship back. So he's out in the night. He's contemplating what to do. He's feeding his bantha half his dinner when, oh my goodness gracious, Boba sees something that costs $6.99 a month. He sees The Mandalorian season 1, episode 5. It's the flares that back in season 1, episode 5, Mando set up into the sky to distract Fennec so his one-time partner, the Jersey bounty hunter, Toro Calican, could get the jump on her. So, Catfish, what did you think of this moment? Did you understand what we were seeing in this scene?
I only did because they helped out your boy Double C.
Oh, hey, Double Z.
Yeah, Clueless Catfish by doing a little spray of the Mandalorian music. And I was like, oh, there we go. I'm sure I would have been helpless without it. When did that episode originally air? There's no way. I thought it was beautifully done with the little splash of Mando music to give me a clue.
If you remember that episode, Fennec got shot in the gut and left to die by Toro Calican. Now, the rest of the Mandalorian episode continued on, but she was left in the desert. At the end of that episode, we saw a pair of feet come up and find her. Now we know what we probably could have assumed based on other Mandalorian episodes. Boba was the one. And so what do you do when you're in the desert and you find something just laying there that nobody's claimed? Like a Jawa, you grab it.
Heck
This could be useful in some way or another. So he throws her body up on his bantha, and he brings her to the tattoo parlor. The Mahdi shop. He takes her to the mods and gets her a #tummy tuck. Catfish, you have a real big problem with this scene. Do you want to go on?
Boba throws a bag down on the counter, makes a noise, and I guess the person who's running the place is like, yeah, not only do I know that money's real, but it sounds like exactly the right amount. But this is very Western. One thing, there was a lot of Western style stuff in this one today, especially with I found Boba to be more effective tonight with his, the Clint Eastwood thing that we were talking about before. How do you kind of pull that off? And I thought he had a lot of lines tonight, and his attitude kind of pulled that off. So this was kind of a very Western thing. Ching!
What did you think, Axel? Did you like this? Did you like seeing this body horror of someone having their guts ripped out and replaced with metal and tubes and pistons?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was great. My son loved it too. We were a little confused though, because for a second we thought maybe she was like an android or something, and she was just getting fixed or further modifications. I think that there is actually like a separate whole dramatic episode of her coming to terms with her new body and how different she is. It is rather dramatic, It's kind of like you said. There is an element of body horror, like Cronenberg in this. That
right.
She looks down, and he's also like, "Aren't you going to close that up?" And he's like, "Why cover up the good work? Leave it open." She obviously disagrees with that because she covers it up as soon as she can. But I did think it was quite dramatic. And it just shows it is another kind of hallmark of Star Wars, like that Slave One thing, that there is a lot of like deeply dark stuff that they just kind of gloss over, like, oh, okay, she got a thing. And she just looks down, I saved you. Good. I owe you an oath. Let's move on.
Right. But you stripped me of my humanity.
Exactly. There's like a deeper sadness there now with her,
Right, but she's got now abs of steel. What did you call it, Catfish?
That's right. She's got an 8-bit pack.
Oh, grown. Now, did anybody recognize that this modder, the person who did all the stuff to Fennec Shand, he was portrayed by bassist Steven Thundercat Bruner of many bands, including Suicidal Tendencies, that punk band. I didn't recognize
Matt Murdick's old band.
Wow.
They played at the Soul Yard Blues. You didn't know that? The Blues Club.
Oh, my goodness gracious. That's incredible. We need to check Matt's gut and make sure he's all human now.
I'm pretty sure he's not.
Well, Matt's going to be here later on in the episode talking about the music, so we'll
good. I got a bone to pick with him.
Fennec comes to. She has a bit of a rebirth, just as Boba did when he escaped the Sarlacc. What I find a bit odd is that if you watch all these animated shows, especially the animated show called The Bad Batch, which is on Disney Plus right now, and they're going to apparently have season 2 of The Bad Batch coming up in the spring of 2022, she is a character on The Bad Batch. On that show, she's dealing with a lot of clones of Jango Fett, and she knows what they look like. Yet here in this particular scene, she sees Boba Fett but doesn't think, "Oh, you're a clone of Jango." She may not know he's Boba Fett, but she seemingly doesn't know him at all. He apparently doesn't know her, even though he's quote unquote the number one bounty hunter in the galaxy, and she is as everybody loves to say, a master assassin. And so how big is this galaxy? These two don't know each other. They just kind of heard of each other.
I mean, we all know from these shows that there's only like 5 planets that really matter anyway. But my question to you, Bubba, is there's got to be somebody for all these Disney scripts who's in charge of continuity. So
there's a thing called the Disney Story Group, the Star Wars Story Group. That's true.
Right. And so they must go, Jon Favreau says, this would be more interesting if they didn't know each other. But how big a deal is this? And they must sign off on it, right?
They must, but it certainly, if you know that animated show, The Bad Batch, it certainly raises some question marks about.
Well, but haven't they taken some things, that have been done and say, okay, this is not really part of the continuity?
Right. All the pre-Disney stuff that got called Legends. So it was an expanded universe of games and in books and comic books and all these things. I said, oh, that's Legend. So they have to hold it to it. Boba, though, as you said, he's becoming the Clint Eastwood. He's becoming the tough person. And he kind of gives her this soliloquy where he was like, I was rescued by the Sand People. They took me in and treated me as one of their own. After they'd been beating me with a stick for months and making me dig for black fruit dam under the sand. Yeah, they treated me as one of their own, their worst. Okay, he doesn't say that, but he's very, very appreciative. We see that he does take the blame for their death. He knows he caused their death by getting them involved in that stuff. Now, Fennec, when Boba says, hey, they were killed by this Nikto biker gang, Fennec questions that. She even says, a Nikto biker gang wiped out a Tusken tribe? She didn't seem to believe it. And so is that a clue for future episodes that they weren't actually killed by this speeder bike gang? They were killed by the Pikes? Or is that, silly, don't think about it? What do you think, Catfish? Is this something we should pay attention to, or is this just some continuity questions?
I mean, it certainly brings up something interesting. My only question is, why would someone kill these guys and try to pin it on the Nikto biker gang? Like, who would come across it and say, okay, because of this, we're going to go after the Nikto biker gang?
Right. Yeah. If you think it was the Pikes, they have plenty of reason to kill the Tuskens. They destroyed their spice train. So you don't have to hide it. You think you're an international smuggling group of drug runners. So yeah, why frame this lowly biker gang people? What do you think, Axel? Did you mind? Is this a hint that the Pikes really are the big bad, or is this just something you say when you're like, listen, I don't want to do this. I've got a metal gut.
She doesn't have the stomach for it.
Oh, how terrible.
When she said that line, as with everything, things are written, it's there for a reason. So I do think you're right in that it's trying to let the audience know that there's a larger connection here. Because he also took them out, or later, I guess, takes them out so quickly that there's no, it's not as though they are powerful, the biker gang. So I think that that's a secondary kind of allusion to the fact that they're not the big bad here. So I think you're correct. I think it's setting up this larger group.
Okay, so he brings her because, she owes him a life debt, just like our boy Jar Jar life debt. So she's got to pay it off. And she's like, listen, I'll help you with this thing. And then my debt is done. And what is the thing? It's breaking into bibs for respect. Gunship. So Catfish, breaking into bibs means bye-bye Bantha. How did you feel about that?
Oh, man. I mean, listen, I thought it was a good move. I thought he was freeing the Bantha. And I was like, this is great, right? This is great. The Bantha gets to go off on his own. But then I saw one of the cutscenes we got tonight.
Oh, a cutscene from the episode.
They have a cutscene that is just the Bantha, and I swear to God, it's just the Bantha, and he's having an internal dialogue. But they thought that it was too weird after last week's episode where they had that whole drug trip.
I read an article about this.
Yeah, went on, and they didn't want Axel to have to explain to his 9-year-old also in animal speaking. So we have that. We're gonna play it right now.
Okay, so here I'll just. You ready?
Yep.
Go on, girl. I don't need you anymore. Go out into the desert and have Bantha babies.
Oh, this is nice petting, and the sounds this creature makes are so deep and soothing. Unlike mine, you would have thought I'd have a deeper voice, but I don't. Wait, is he trying to tell me something? Does he want me to leave? I think he wants me to leave. After all I've done for him, he's just kicking me to the curb? What? Wait, is he telling me to go have children? Like I can't be a real Bantha without being a parent? Does he even know that I'm a double B?
Double B?
A Baron Bantha. Thanks a lot, man. I guess I'll just slink off into the desert now that you've thrown me away. I'll just go off and die a useless Baron Bantha. That's cold, man. Ice cold.
Fennec Shan, watch this. When this train passes, it's going to kill my Bantha that I just let go.
Ah! I died childless.
But with a full stomach. He threw some food. So this Bantha got
amazing.
It's so nice that Boba shared food with him before he sent him off to his death.
Now Boba is getting philosophical. He's laying the idea to Fennec and to the audience of, hey, I'm sick of being a bounty hunter. And he has this line where he's like, I'm tired of working for idiots who are going to get me killed. I want to be the idiot now.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Wait, did he say that?
He should have.
So, so they're going to sneak into the castle, right? They're going to send their little drone that's checking everything out. Starts down at the basement, winds its way up. It's a nice little fun bit because it's trying to avoid everything, and all these creatures and people are walking by and they don't see anything. They get to all go, and they decide to go in through the kitchen. Again, a really cool thing here with the subtitles. The droids are named. One's called the chef droid, and the other one is called the sous chef droid. So I appreciate the specialization of these robots. I'm sorry, you droid, you can only heat up butter, but they are ready for a fight, Bubba.
I love it. Axel, what did you and what did your son think of this really fun start to the invade the castle and get to the hangar plot? What did you guys think?
Oh, he loved this part, and I did too. This is the fun Star Wars droid stuff. But that droid, it's chopping up all that food, and then it very quickly becomes like, what's his Grievous, right?
Yeah,
With
General
all the
Grievous.
arms coming out. And I really thought there was going to be more of a battle there. She kind of, Fennec sneaks behind and slices its neck. I was kind of sad to see. I thought maybe the head would keep talking after it.
Oh, that
fell.
would have been great.
That would have been great. You know, it's clear they made a mistake with that robot that the knives only go forward. Otherwise, Fennec would have been in real trouble.
Only cut what's in front of you. Cut, what is it? Measure
Exactly.
twice, cut
If
once.
She does that kind of like, I don't know where they're going to put the CGI back up. Where she kind of like backs up and she's like looking down, but it's like, if you watch it, it's kind of funny. I always like to watch people when they're interacting, because you imagine that, I think that probably was all CGI, but sometimes they will bring something out with them to act to, but I thought it was a lot of fun. This is classic Star Wars.
I couldn't say it any better. This is classic Star Wars. And let me say that, when you watch these shows, sometimes you always want to recognize yourself in the characters. And so this one droid who's like, you know what? I don't want to get shut up. I don't want to get killed. Where's the power off button?
The rat catching droid. I called it a lem droid, and what was so great about it was, I don't know, Axel, did you and your son notice that little rat catching droid showed up at the end of the episode too?
No.
Oh, it was so awesome. Yeah, he's there at the end of the episode with Boba, obviously not super close, but you see him, and it's a kind of a nice callback to know that, like Bubba, even though he shut himself down, eventually he rose from the ashes.
Well, okay, so this is a two-part action scene. We have this fun bit with the droids in the kitchen, and then we have to get out to the hangar. Now, Catfish, what did you think about Bib Fortuna's bodyguards, his security forces, who are not just shoot first and ask questions later? It's only, there's no second part. It's just shoot first.
It is. Bib, I like Bib's management style. He doesn't micromanage people. He's like, I'm sure that you can go in there and take these people out and not just fire blindly at very expensive equipment. Unfortunately, maybe he should micromanage them because they come in just shooting at everything in sight.
Yeah, they went to the same shooting range as stormtroopers.
They sure did.
Poor guys.
But luckily, they missed both the people and the fire spray. The only person who did real damage was Boba on his way out. Did a little galaxy quest scraping the side of the building action.
Yeah, this was a moment because Fennec has been sidelined so far in the show. This was a moment to show, hey, she's awesome. Look at her fight. Look at her solve these issues of getting out of this hangar. It gives her a moment of, I'm a butt kicker, which is good. Now, I should say that they escape with the ship, with the newly titled Firespray ship. Boba is pitching Fennec on a respectful path. And one of the first ways he governs with respect is that he finds the Nikto speeder bike gang as they're out speeding across the Dune Sea and blows them away from behind without them knowing what's happening. Hashtag respect. So we've got a new element here on the show. It's called the respect scale. So how much respect did Boba Fett show the Nikto speeder bike gang as he blew them away from behind? Shot in the back.
I would say a very therapeutic amount for Boba.
Okay. Any thoughts about this respect shown to the speeder bike gang, Axel?
Well, I thought it was so fast. They didn't even establish who they were. It took a second to even reckon. Oh, okay, that's that. Like they gave us a flashback, but that was earlier, right? Like they flashed back to them earlier, and then when we actually see them, they don't give us too much time. I thought they should have shown them doing something bad or messing with someone. Or even say they were running those Vespas off. I don't know how you can run someone off a sand.
Right.
But, putting them into a dune or something like that, or harassing some sand people. And then he could have come in and it would have also given him a little bit more of that hero feel that
Right,
we're all kind of wanting.
It's funny, Axel, when you talked about how quick this scene was, made you think that it was the Pikes who was really behind it, because even if we're not supposed to think that for now, we would like to see him get his hands a little bit dirtier here and it be more a personal vengeance rather than impersonal.
The way I've described it in the past is that Boba believes that revenge is a dish best served quickly from behind and then get on with your life.
He's got a very healthy view towards
right, skip ahead.
Exactly.
Skip ahead. They're dead. Okay, so hey, he's got his ship, but what does he also need? He needs his armor. And so he, coming out of the Sarlacc pit, must have been really messed up because he doesn't remember or realize that the Jawa stole it off his body. So he thinks, I'm going to go back to that Sarlacc and I'm going to get my armor back. And we have a scene I'm not sure I knew I needed, but a spaceship being attacked by the Sarlacc is incredible. I'm
so sorry, Bubba. I know you wanted Sarlacc to win. Hashtag Team Sarlacc.
This Sarlacc was doing nothing but just eating people who came into its mouth. You know, it doesn't go out and get you. You come into its mouth, it eats you. And now this spaceship is going to be searching my belly for something? To hell with you.
Do you think they should be fined for killing an endangered species?
Of course. You don't want to know what's in my belly. Lots of Beskar.
Well, I like what he assumes about the Beskar, by the way, and then maybe Fennec assumes it. Well, first of all, Fennec is just like, I'm just going to unbuckle, grunt a lot, and then I'm going to drop this bomb, and Boba's going to know, tip the ship, and blow up the Sarlacc, but your Beskar armor will be fine. And somehow he's able to be like, nope, Beskar armor would have been completely fine here, so clearly it ain't here.
How come one of her little probes couldn't have gone into the Sarlacc belly? He had to go and do it himself. What's in here? What did you think of this last stand of the Sarlacc, Axel? Did you feel any sympathy? You know, all these creatures are getting their moment in the sun, literally. And the Sarlacc, it went out the way it lived, eating.
You know, I thought that this was actually the most tense moment when they were face down like that, because I think it took advantage of the weird shape of his ship.
Yep.
You know, you don't know, they could get sucked. They could be in there for, 5 years before they escape. All of a sudden, the show is fast forwarding to a whole nother timeline. Other things are happening there. It takes that long to get out of there. Her stomach was made out of
Beskar armor, I guess.
I don't know what was going to happen. I thought it was exciting and fun. Nice little diversion here. I thought it was kind of cute, and it explained, for instance, when it happened in the beginning, I didn't really even think in the beginning, like, where's his armor? I think back to last season of Mando, right? When he mentioned it later.
Exactly.
But when we see him right away in the beginning of this season, I didn't really think about that too much. So I thought it was kind of fun, but I was a little bit sad. I hope it's not dead. I think it's just sleeping.
Nice. It went to the Great Sand Dune up north in Canada. Oh. It's a great farm up there that we sent it to, a moisture farm. Everything's okay. They don't have the armor, but there is this talk that Fennec and Boba have been having this whole time about, hey, enough is enough. We're serving these idiots who can get us killed because they can't think these missions through. We need to be in charge. And Fennec totally throws it back at Boba. She says, living with the Tuskens has made you soft. While Boba pitches back, no. The Tuskens have made him strong and convinced him you can only get so far without a tribe. What do you feel about this, Catfish? Because this seems to be, because they flash forward, as Axel was saying, to Bib getting blasted and Boba taking the throne. This could be the end of the flashback timeline. What do you think?
Oh, I hope so.
Man,
I mean,
I don't know who hurt the Tuskens more.
That's how confusing it is that if that is the end of it, you could be like, okay. If it's not and it goes on, you would be like, okay. It doesn't seem like they're coming to a natural meeting point, Well,
the other thing was, I mean, that was kind of a big jump to make, right? Okay, now we're blasting, and then it's like, part of the thing with the Sarlacc was like, I mean, it was fun, but I'm like, well, it's not there because I know where it is, and this is part of the problem that you were talking about, Ax. And Bubba, you mentioned too, we know things the characters don't know. And so it's like, I'm just glad we're up to the present because unlike you, I know Axel, anybody who is either cooler with the stuff in the past or kind of even with it, I completely understand that. But I've always been more interested in the present. So I'm glad that it seems to me, at least, we're going to stay there.
Listeners, what do you think? Are you sad that Tuscan time might be over, the past might be over? Write to us at PHQ on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/PHQ, YouTube. Leave those comments down below. We're going to be getting to some of your comments we've received so far at the end of this podcast. All right, guys, it's time for Daimyo Drama. It's the final bath. Boba is fully healed. Time to sell this back to tank. Who needs this anymore?
Are you sure? What about the
sure,
scars? What about the scars on the inside, Bubba?
Oh, well, that's what Fennec said. Man, you know, do you want your number 2 calling out your dreams? He's been talking to her about like the dreams are back.
I mean, would I follow Boba? No.
Well,
But I mean, well, let me ask you this.
Sure.
This is only a semi-funny question.
okay.
At this point in the show, who would you really trust to be the daimyo? Boba or Fennec?
Definitely of those 2 options, the Rancor. No, Fennec. Of your 2 choices, Fennec
I agree.
seems smarter in this case. Now, Boba did say to her, I need muscle and I need brains. You have both, so.
Right, but what she should have said back to him was, yeah, but you don't have enough of either.
Oh, what if she said back to him, yeah, but guess who doesn't have any stomach muscles anymore?
You made me an animal. Inhuman.
So Catfish, hey, let's find out where Mos Espa is. Once again, the major domo's spilling secrets, the mayor's missing, the mods are out there on the street keeping it clean. What do you think is going on here?
Oh yeah, the streets are safe, man. And doesn't that make you feel safe to knowing they're out there?
The mods are
Yeah. Now, Bubba, this scene, we got a cut scene.
A cutscene.
Yeah, everyone's new favorite characters, especially Axel's, are the mods. He loves he loves the mods.
Okay.
And I have personally found them to be a little bit shiny and unrealistic out there in the desert. they're broke ass, but they've got the modifications, they got the fancy bikes. But for this scene, this one we only got the script for. All right.
Oh, no.
So I'm gonna have you guys are gonna act it out. All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna describe the actions, and you guys are gonna do the dialogue.
Okay.
All right. All right. So I'll set this one up. It's three mini scenes. All right.
All right, let's hear it.
The mods enter a water shop.
Oh, thank goodness you're here. Lortha Peel.
You mean the water seller from last week's episode? I mean the water seller that everyone knows sells water.
Yes.
Yeah, we know him. We got in trouble with him, but he's got trouble with us.
Well, he came in and forced me to buy water at 10 times the normal price.
Oh, you mean this water right here?
Yes, wait, where are you taking that?
Evidence. Mods out.
They enter a modification shop.
Oh, hey, it's you kids.
Kids? More like cops.
Yeah, kid cops.
What are you doing here?
We're here to protect you from thieves.
I don't have any problem with thieves.
Oh, really? Well, then how do you explain me stealing this?
Damn kids!
We'll be back. We've got an eye on you. Now look at this modified eye. Get it? It's an eye. So I had this eye. Yeah, so okay.
They enter a speed bike repair shop.
Hey, how's it?
We're taking all your stuff.
Wow. That was, you know what, Bubba? I can see why they cut that scene. It's a little repetitive.
Very.
We already had that amazing montage at the mod shop. But I don't know about you, Bubba, but I feel safer with them out there.
Keeping the streets
Axel,
clean, like they're
that
speeder bikes.
That was a great job, Axel.
Thank you. I took a lot of acting classes when I was a kid.
I love it. I felt it there. It was good.
Yeah, I felt it too.
Right, and I read it. So hey, okay, well, let's get into this. Boba, even though everything's fine, he believes he needs to show his face around town. Power hates a vacuum. And then, just like we had fun with the droids, just like we had fun with shooting the Nikto speeder bike in the back, just like we had fun in the Sarlacc, we have fun at the Sanctuary. And I call it like this. My boy, this angry Wookiee, Black Chrysantan, he's an angry drunk. We need him to take out the obnoxious folks in Vegas.
But this is the best anti-gambling campaign ever. You gamble, you'll get your arm ripped off by an angry Wookiee.
Right. Even when you win, you lose. Exactly right. Because these guys were winning. These Trandoshans were winning. Now, Star Wars fans have pointed out online that if you can remember back to the first chapter, the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett, when the Trandoshan mobster came in to give tribute to Boba Fett, he brought a Wookiee skin with him. So out there in the lore, the Trandoshans and Wookiees, they've got a real big beef. But Black Chrysantan, he is awesome. I love him. Maybe he should be the daimyo. He is great.
Oh yeah, he's also awesome. Now, Madame Garza also gives us a little background in the history. She's like, when you were in the fighting arena, we're not in the fighting arena anymore. Come on, you don't need to do this. Black K disagrees.
Yeah, exactly. Love it. This is Disney. We're going to dismember people just off screen and then drop the pieces on the floor so you can see it.
And very clean dismemberment, no blood.
No blood.
Yeah.
No blood at all.
Well, these Trandoshans, they're a bit like those lizards where you can cut off a tail and then the tail will grow back. If you believe the lore, you could rip off an arm and the arm would grow back.
So no harm, no foul. But Bubba, that's the only problem is those were his poker that was his dice shooting hand.
Now there's
his lucky right arm.
Well, I was going to say this could be just a ploy by Madame Garza, she's employing Black Chrysantan as a cooler.
He's too hot. Rip his arm off.
I've got some pop quizzes for you guys. Can you believe the actress who portrays Madame Garza is 58 years old?
Wow.
No.
How many years has she slept in the back of tank? She looks great. The actress who plays Fennec Shand is 58 years old as well. And then Tamora Morrison, the actor playing Boba Fett, the star of this show, just a couple of weeks ago, end of December 2021, he turned 61. So we've got two 58s and a 61 leading a Disney Plus show for kids. I love it.
Man, I still got a chance, Bubba.
The olds have taken over.
They have.
Tamora Morrison, man, he doesn't look a day over 60.
The Sarlacc Tamora does look old, but the non-Sarlacc Tamora looks pretty good.
When I am 60, I want to be doing those scenes in my MeUndies when I fight a giant Wookiee. And so, hey, here's my quiz. The actor who portrays this wonderful new character, Black Chrysantan, how tall do you think that actor is? Guys, let's hear some guesses. How tall do you think he is?
6'6".
I was going to say 6'3".
Oh, wow.
I like
only 1 inch off. Axel was correct. That actor is 6'7". Great job.
Oh no, that's how tall I was going to say the original Chewbacca was. 6'7". Peter Mayhew.
Well, here we go. Peter Mayhew. How tall do you think he was? Catfish, what do you think?
I said 6'7". That's what was my original answer.
Okay, Axel, what do you think?
I think he was much tall. I think that Peter Mayhew was like 6'10".
Okay, this time you guys are just a bit off. Believe it or not, the original actor who portrayed Chewbacca in all those original films was 7'3". Holy
I knew he was very. My friend Rippy, who's a big Star Wars fan, and he was a part of, I can't remember what it's called, the 503, I think, where they make their own like Star Wars equipment and stuff, cosplay, and mainly like stormtrooper helmets and all that. He became friends with him and he used to go to his house and hang out with him. So I knew that he was really tall dude.
That's incredible. I'm so jealous.
Man, most actors are so short. Mm-hmm. That's why I thought that, Catfish, you were right about the other guy only being maybe about 6'4" or 6'5", because even if you are just 6'6", you're going to tower above, as you know, most actors or actresses are like 5'1". Like Tom Cruise is 4'3". Did you know that?
I was actually did a table read for a movie that he produced, and at the break, I actually stood next to him at a urinal.
You and Tom
Really?
Cruise? Okay.
I was next
Who's
to
taller?
him at a urinal.
Who's taller?
So how big is it? Oh wait, I'm sorry, wrong question.
Yeah, I did not check out his junk. I just sort of measured him. And now
Man.
he was a couple inches taller than me, but I'm guessing that when he goes out in the world, he wears lifts.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Even just for normal living.
Kramer
Okay.
would not be happy.
So real quickly, Peter Mayhew, the original Chewbacca, was 7'3". He got old and passed away. R.I.P. Peter Mayhew. Can you listeners guess how the new actor who portrays Chewbacca in the sequel trilogy, Jonas, and I don't want to pronounce his last name because I'll mispronounce it.
I'm gonna
but
say.
Can you
I'm
guess
gonna
how
say,
tall he is?
I'm gonna say Suotamo.
Suotamo. Perfect. Okay.
Or
How tall
Sutamo.
do you think he is? He's replacing an actor who is 7'3". How tall do you think he is?
I'm horrible at this game. I'm gonna say 6'10".
Axel, got a guess?
Well, that's what I guessed before. So I have to say something different. So I'm gonna say 6'11".
That's it exactly. He is 6'11".
Nice
4
job.
inches shorter than the original Chewbacca.
Yeah. What do I win? I won something, a big prize, right?
Yeah, T-shirt.
Yes.
Get the Black K T-shirt. Bubba just has to order another one.
Yeah,
I'll
but now
donate
admittedly,
back
it
to
is
the listeners.
it is a size for somebody 7'3". So you're really it's gonna be a peak.
It's
I'm
a good move.
6'4".
Oh, wow, that's awesome. So hey, we talk so much about Black K, but I want to give it up to the actor who played the scared Trandoshan who got his arm ripped off. The way they animated that Trandoshan to show that he was afraid, I loved it, man.
Great
Now,
eyes.
Bubba,
Great eye work, exactly.
as I predicted,
Yeah.
I told you last week, you didn't believe me. Black K now on the team. Now, I might have guessed that by the halfway episode, he'd have his whole team. Black K is pretty good, but not quite enough.
Not quite enough at all. So, hey, we're going to end the episode by bringing together the three families of Mos Espa for lunch. We got our Trandoshans, our Aqualicious, and our Klaatu crew. We're going to get them together and make them an offer that if they refuse, I'll just make them another offer.
Now, Bubba, I was curious why he just seemed to be asking less and less of them. So I was curious how far it would go. And then we also got another transcript. This scene actually continued, Bubba.
Oh,
but
no.
They
You mean the
cut
scene
it
here at the
and they
table
changed
went
the
longer?
scene at the table. Right. So, Bubba, you and I are going to read this now. You will be Boba Fett,
Okay.
and I'm going to be the other leader.
They're trying to take the riches of Tatooine. We need to join together. I'm going to ask you, will you fight for me?
No.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm asking you, these evil pikes, these terrible pikes with their spice, you don't have to fight with me. I'm not going to pay you a tribute or take a tribute or say anything. I'm just going to ask you, just don't join the pikes.
No.
Okay, final offer here. Final offer. How about if you betray me and work with the pikes, you just aim at my leg when you shoot for me?
Okay.
Hashtag respect.
Wow. That ended a little different, but it did seem like he was willing to take just about, I mean, honestly, how far would he have gone?
Well, hold on. Let's go to our respect scale. So he's brought the three families together. They're like, why shouldn't we just kill you? When who shows up, the Rancor shows up underneath them and is like, did somebody insult my papa? Is that ruling with respect? Let's hear it, Catfish. Where does that go on the respect scale?
You know, I'm always uncomfortable with a work meeting that has rancor.
English.
I'm gonna give that a 1 on the respect scale, as in I'm gonna shoot you in the leg with a rancor.
Ooh,
And then I'm
Axel.
gonna hit you with black K's electrified brass knuckles.
Axel, is that ruling with respect when you have to have your rancor shut up your opponents at the table? What do you think?
I think it's showing a lot of respect. Everybody wants to see a little baby Rancor. You know, it's new to the neighborhood. That's probably why they came over, right? They probably wanted to give it a little cuddle. I was just waiting for
man.
Danny Trejo to stick his arm up. through there.
That would have
my
been
God.
great. That would
You
have
know
been
what?
really
You've changed me. You turned me around on this, Axel. You know what was disrespectful was them not bringing gifts.
Exactly. Thank you. No treats, nothing like a stuffed Sarlacc or something, you know? Come
Way
on.
to show up empty-handed to a Rancor christening.
Terrible. Well, the episode ends. Chapter 4 ends with Boba and Fennec planning for war. They need more soldiers.
Oh, we get another Mando music here, though.
Exactly right. They've got coins, so who can they buy? Well, there's their buddy who they helped out before. Are we going to see Mando next week? What do you think, Catfish?
Are he and Grogu enough?
No, he doesn't have Grogu anymore. It's just
No
Mando.
No,
It's
I just want
Grogu-less.
Grogu to show up then. I want
Okay.
Grogu to show up like Grogu here.
I would love Grogu to show up and he and Black Chrysantan have a spinoff together, just the two of them.
Man, we
That would be
will call
awesome.
it Grogs and K.
Oh, hey, so that's the episode. We've broken it down. Listeners, what do you think? Once again, if you're on YouTube, go down there, leave us these comments. If you use Facebook, facebook.com/PHQ, Twitter, Instagram, @PHQ, you can email us. Go to our website, doublepmedia.com, click on the email link, and give us all your thoughts. We want to hear from you. Catfish, it's time to wrap up this podcast the way we always wrap up a podcast. And how do we do it?
By redoing the podcast?
Oh, no, I haven't been recording. Okay, so welcome to... No, Catfish, how do we end every podcast?
Well, we play some games and we listen to Double M. So let's play some games first. As always, we have a debate, the Bounty Hunter Guild Battle. Who wins the puck? And we have to decide this. Now we've got three answers. So I'm going to ask the questions and I'm going to let you and Axel debate this. All right. What is worse, losing your dice shooting arm in a Wookiee accident or being abandoned in the desert by your human companion? What is worse?
Axel, you get to go first. Which of these is
Gosh.
worse?
I'm going to say losing my dice shooting arm. That's got to be way worse.
I think whoever wrote this question, by describing it as you lose your arm in a Wookiee accident, putting their thumbs on the scale. So I will go with being abandoned to the terrible desert by your human companion. Yes, he threw some food about 4 feet away from me, but that's not enough to live. Have you seen this? Have you looked around this place? Do you see how far I have to dig in the sand, meaning about a foot down, to find this black watermelon? To hell with it. You left me. That's stone cold wrong. Don't abandon your pets. Bob Barker out.
All right.
Get your bantha spayed and neutered.
Hey, listeners, what do you
that
think?
was what's so sad about this bantha, already neutered.
Hey.
The childless bantha.
Aaron
So,
Bantha.
listeners, you decide. We'll put up a poll. What is worse, losing your dice shooting arm in a Wookiee accident or being abandoned in the desert by your horrible human companion? No thumb on the scale there. And now we go to the Mandolicious line of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
Bubba, you know, we like to put in a line that is delicious. These are kind of like Western shows.
Yep.
And plus the Mando was quippy. So we combine Mando with delicious, and it's the Mando with delicious. It's the Mandolicious line of the episode. I've got 2 different categories tonight, Bubba.
Okay.
2 that I thought were badass Clint Eastwood style, and 2 that were funny. The first one is, he says, Boba says, "I was left for dead on the sands of Tatooine." And he said it in a really badass way.
Yeah,
in a
that's
way,
that's a nice humble brag.
yeah, right? And then he says, "You can only get so far without a tribe."
Both
And
good,
then-
both Clint Eastwood. Love
And
it.
then he's got a funny one after Fennec saves their ass from the Sarlacc. He says, "Next time, don't touch my buttons." That was about as risque as Disney Plus is going to get. And then my funniest, it was a line and then a moment. Of course, my boy Black K. Madame Garza says, "Is it not beneath you to dismember this unfortunate Trandoshan?" Nope.
No, not beneath him at all. It's like part of the job.
All right, so Axel, what was your Mandolicious line of the episode?
Well, originally it was "Next time, don't touch my buttons."
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to step on you, so I'm going to go who I affectionately call Special K, the big
Okay.
Wookiee. When he said, "Arr!" That was, to me, the line of the episode.
He said what we were all thinking.
I mean, it spoke to my heart.
Yeah.
It came right through the screen to me,
Mhm.
and that's
Mhm.
when I knew we were soulmates.
Now, Catfish, I'm also going to go off the board for my
Okay.
Mandolicious line of the episode. So this was one where I think I just heard it once, but it stuck with me. And that was when Boba Fett said, "I am Boba Fett," to every single character on the show. You know, it's
But
good. It's good when people don't know you're alive. Hello, I am Boba Fett.
Hey, listen.
Table for two under I
Keeping a
am
low
Boba Fett.
profile, but my name is Boba Fett.
It's all about branding.
Oh, good boy. Yes.
True.
Repeat at double PHQ.
Exactly. All right. So now we've got another segment called the Double M.
Double M.
Yeah, Matt Murdick music analysis. He is at Musical Concepts.
Love it.
And let's take a listen to what he has to say.
Hey everybody, Matt here. Before I get started, do want to say I really liked the electronic music at the Mod Parlor and even at the bar. I thought all that was great. But that's not what I'm going to talk to you about today. What I want to talk to you about is two things that Joe Shirley, maybe Ludwig composed them, maybe Joe Shirley came up with this on his own in order to connect Boba Fett and Fennec Shen. But the way they became musically connected was very cerebral. And I'm not sure if you didn't have any real good musical knowledge that you would catch it. So I'm going to try to explain it to you as best I can. During the course of the episode, there were two motives. One was associated with Boba, and he was telling Fennec about what had happened to him, and that was like at 11:30 in the episode, 11 minutes, 30 seconds in the episode. There was a motive there that was based on a what we call diminished scale or a whole half scale, which is a symmetrical scale. And then as Fennec released the probe and it started messing around in Jabba's palace, like as soon as it popped up out of the vent, you started hearing this motive right around the 14:10 mark, somewhere in there. That motive was based on a half-whole scale. So they're inverted scales. They are both symmetrical. And if you combine the two of them, they create the entirety of the chromatic scale, every note that you can play in between two notes of the same name. So just like a whole half scale and a half whole scale complete each other, one each representing a different character, when you combine them, it means that Boba and Fennec complete each other in the same way that those two scales complete each other. You get everything when you get the two of them combined, whereas you only get kind of an uncomfortable feeling from either of the scales by themselves. A chromatic scale is a complete scale. A whole half scale or a half whole scale are both symmetrical and therefore uncomfortable to us when we listen to them. And again, you're not putting any of this together through the episode itself. This is what we call psychoacoustics. It's just using different things to make your subconscious brain work in different ways. Let's start with the Boba theme real quick first. It sounded like this. And again, it's based on the whole half scale. You start with a whole step, then you go to a half step, then you go to a whole step, then you go to a half step, repeat ad nauseum until you get back to where you were started, only an octave higher or an octave lower, depending on which way you're going. I know, I'm rambling. Anyway, the complete scale sounds like this. Now, as Fennec breaks out her own version of the golden snitch, so to speak, the probe that she uses in order to investigate things, we get the half-whole scale, and we get this motive. One of the things that I love that Shirley or Ludwig, whenever they compose, if he composed it or if Shirley did, it doesn't really matter to me. But one of the things that I love is that this one kind of crosses the meter. It works against the beat. You can hear that beat on the bottom note that I was playing, but you can hear how the melody kind of fits against it, and then they kind of have to try and catch up to get back together. That's the tension for the probe that's created in this episode. Is the probe going to get back? Is it going to be able to report everything to Fennec and Boba? So that was a neat way to create tension for that. But the scale itself is a half whole scale, which again is the inversion of the whole half, this scale. Now, if I take the notes from Boba's scale and from Fennec's scale, and I combine them, there are some notes that overlap, which is good. That creates connection points psychologically for us in relation to the way that the characters connect. They're both bounty hunters. They're both pretty ruthless. Those kinds of things. You can think of it musically in the way that some notes overlap. But combined, every note, as I said before, in the scale is created between an octave of notes. All 12 notes exist between the two scales. And that's how Shirley used scales to demonstrate to us psychologically through the music that Boba and Shand make each other better. That's all I got. Back to Bubba and Catfish.
Oh, he's got a good point. He's talking about how these symmetrical scales, talk about the different points of view of Boba and Fennec. Great job, Matt.
Yeah. He talked about how the music showed how Boba and Fennec complete each other. But since I'm slow and I don't pick up on these musical cues, I would have preferred that Boba had just said to Fennec, "You complete me." Sorry. He should have said, "I am Boba Fett. You complete me."
You complete me, Boba Fett.
All right. Well, it seems to me that I am all out on an island here. Quadruple M, Matt Murdick's musical mastery indicates that he loved the music during the tattoo parlor montage. Axel, you loved it. Bubba, you also like to go against me, so I'm the only one who did not appreciate it.
It's interesting. Hey, listeners, we keep asking you to give us feedback. What did you think? And hey, let's get to your feedback right now. We got great feedback on all our social media platforms over the week.
Except for iHeartRadio.
Except for iHeartRadio. We're waiting for you, listeners. So the first one was from our buddy Pat Spinagle, who wrote to our Facebook page, facebook.com/PHQ. Pat wrote, for some reason, the debate on last week's podcast about what was worse, the Sarlacc slimed long johns versus the heat-absorbing black robes, really entertained me. Oh, thanks, Pat. He's looking forward to this week when Boba sends the street gang on a suicide mission against the bikes. What's worse, dead Tuskens in the past, or Tatooine teens not dead by the end of the episode? He says these teens remind him of Toro Calican from Mando Season 1. Thank you, Pat. Facebook.com/PHQ.
And on YouTube from Ronald Pollock, he said, "Oh, man, Rodriguez' Cyber Spy Kids riding Power Ranger Vespers was a bit of an
Oh, man. Well, our good friend, our true double L loyal listener, Neo Luddite, wrote, Evil Chewie for the win. Love it.
Yes, we love him. And Sweet Gav, a longtime listener, says, Boba Fett hasn't earned any of this territory-wide fear.
Okay.
This is falling into prequel territory with the tell me he's a badass without showing me. Second, Wookiees don't sound like that. Nowhere in the other movies do they roar like a monster werewolf. And finally, the gang look nothing like Star Wars. They didn't even look like main characters. Yep. They look like cheap extras from Attack of the Clones in that lame bar chase scene. I give this episode 3 out of 10. I won't be watching again. So I guess he won't be listening again either. Sweet Gav, I'm so glad that you did not watch then this episode, because you would be one of the people who complained that changing the name of the ship from slave was too woke. So good thing, Gav, you didn't watch episode 4.
I hope he did. Sweet Gav, write to us. You did this comment on on YouTube. So write to us on YouTube again and let us know if you did watch this episode. We got feedback on our Twitter handle at PHQ. Our good friend Rob the Toon Man, who is sure enough at Rob the Toon Man, he sent us this picture and he said, is it just me or are we crossing the streams here? He has a picture of a character from Star Trek The Next Generation wearing this outfit, which is pretty much black on the bottom, but has this brightly colored shoulder area of the outfit. And he showed a picture of the Pike wearing pretty much a black outfit with a brightly colored shoulder outfit as well. What do you guys think? Are you guys Star Trek fans? Do you think this is too close? I like Star Trek, but I've never been a big enough fan to really look at it like this. What do you guys think?
I love Star Trek, and one thing I know about Star Trek, and one thing I know about all sci-fi, is there is a limited wardrobe available in the future. So they all kind of look the same.
Right, there's no fabric here on Tatooine except bantha hair.
Exactly. Hey, when you're trying to build ships that go into outer space, you don't have time to worry about what you're wearing, so you just put on a robe and put a little color in it. And I think, they did a good job.
What do you think, Catfish?
Yeah, I mean, it's yellow and black, but it's different yellow. There's different designs. It doesn't bother me.
Okay. Hey, we have another great loyal listener who's Hurtfew Librarian at StrangeFan3 on Twitter. They wrote, almost caught up on the Book of Boba Fett and ready to listen to the podcast. Hey, send us that screenshot of you following us, Hurtfew. We want you entered to win one of these great T-shirts.
Derek O'Neill at Deller1 says, talking about episode 3. This is Catfish. This is my bad. This is about chapter 4. This is about chapter 4. Okay, this is the first episode that didn't hold my attention. It felt like 15 minutes of story, necessary exposition stretched to an hour, particularly since we know most of it from The Mandalorian. We have talked about that on this episode. Endless Mike, our old friend Endless Mike at Endless Mike 03 says, was the intimation that they will hire Mando at the end? There were Mando sounds.
Yeah, that's
if you
cool
came across those dead Tuskens, would you take off one of their masks to see what they look like? I probably wouldn't, out of respect. Holy cow, that should have been the debate for the week. Guys, super quick. Let's go through this. Would you take off if you came across the Tuskens and all you ever saw them with their mask? Would you take off their masks? They're dead, so would you take off the mask?
I will say no. I also #respect them. They're my buddies after they beat me with a stick for months.
Count me as #no respect. I would take that mask off so fast. I want to see what they look like.
Hell yes, yeah. I'm completely with Axel. First of all, they're dead. Okay, this is what I would do first. I would kind of nudge them with my foot to make sure they were like fully dead, right?
God, because you're desecrating these corpses.
It's not desecrating. It's just a check. Because like if he's alive, I'm gonna take his mask off to give him mouth to mouth. If he's dead, I'm gonna take his mask off so I can see what he looks like. And Bubba, I don't know. Did you see someone tweeted this, or did you tweet this at me, or did I see this somewhere else? The main Tusken that was kicking Boba's ass the whole time is a female stunt person.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that was totally cool.
So you would definitely, because she kicked so much butt, desecrate her corpse by kicking her to make sure she was dead.
I would kick and I would take off her mask and I'm like, holy cow, this is awesome. Some lady was kicking my ass, but also guess what?
What?
Who's still standing?
Oh man. Thank you for that question. Great loyal listener at EndlessMike03. On Twitter, Mara sent us this question and comment. She said she enjoyed Chapter 3, The Streets of Mos Espa, but she didn't think Boba possibly she didn't think about Boba possibly feeling guilty about the Tuskens. She wonders, and she wrote this before Chapter 4, she said, I wonder if the Pikes did it. Boy, she's pretty smart. Because she thinks maybe the Pikes did it because of their outrage over the train, and they were acting for Boba when he went and saw them there in Mos Eisley. Mara continues also, when they first started talking about a crime syndicate coming in, she thought it might be Crimson Dawn. And for all you Star Wars fans, that is that outlaw criminal group from Solo, a Star Wars story that Emilia Clarke's Kira ended up running at the end of Solo. So Mara wrote, it is going to be interesting to see where all this leads. Ooh, good point.
And this is a good point here she makes too. One thing she put in parentheses, or maybe the Pikes ordered it. So if the Pikes ordered it, and then the gang did it, the gang would still be like, proud, we in. So that sounds like a good possibility to me.
Love it. What's this next bit of feedback?
Dooley's Left Legs at Dooley's Left Legs, long time loyal listener, says, I must admit I was very disappointed with the overall episode, even though there were some great moments.
Now this is chapter 3 he's talking about.
Rancor, Stink-Eye Wookiee destroying everyone, etc. Don't worry about the Tuskens. They will all be back coming the end of the season. Never-ending supply with how many get shot. but the pacing was awful again. The Grease Lightning Lambrettas were way over the top, as were the Android Scooby Gang. It all felt but silly, therefore I gave it 4.5 double A's.
Double A's?
Yeah, Apple Avalanches. Says,
Aw.
I miss Mando.
Dooley, man, I understand a lot of people did have trouble with last week's episode. Write to us. Tell us, did you enjoy this one more? That's what we want to know. Our final bit of feedback, we ask you guys, if you're kind enough, and if you can send us those screenshots of you following or subscribing to the podcast, to, hey, on whatever podcast platform you use, to give us a written review. And we have, get this, a 5-star review from the United Kingdom iTunes Store.
Hell yes.
The title of the review from Scott is More Awesome Content. Heck yeah. Scott wrote, Star Wars fans, give this podcast a listen. You'll get an enjoyable rundown of each episode from Bubba and Catfish with the usual great humor that long-term loyal listeners like myself love and keep coming back for. I always enjoy and appreciate these podcasts. Keep up the awesome work, guys. Thank you. Whoa, what? Thank you, Scott.
Oh, man, that is so awesome. I bet Scott, after listening to Axel come in and bring it, would wish that he could give another 6-star review.
It's one more. Axel, hey, thank you so much for joining us for this 5-hour podcast we've done, which we'll edit down for the listeners just to be a little over an hour. Axel, tell everybody about the daily DVR and the great work you're doing there following a certain prison in Pennsylvania. It's in Pennsylvania, right? Sorry.
Yes, well, thank you guys. This has been a triple P for me, a perfect podcast privilege.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I love all your podcasts. You can check me out at dvrpodcast.com. We just wrapped up talking about the mayor of Kingstown. Not too much humor on that podcast. It was a lot of fun, and actually, I'm going to be taking a break for a little while, just doing some one-offs. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about Yellow Jackets, if anybody's a fan of that show on Showtime.
Huge fan.
We're going to be doing a one-off podcast. You can check that out on Daily DVR. And just for the next couple weeks, I'm going to be releasing episodes of Mindhunter over at our Mindhunter feed. Heath and I covered those last year, but that was only on the Patreon. So I'm breaking them free. Making them free for the public.
Oh, man.
Big announcement here.
Well, thank you so much. People who have listened to all our silliness know that our podcast, all our podcasts were really born out of a great emergency podcast that you and Heath did after a certain character got killed in the first season of Game of Thrones. And it was so great. It inspired us to listen, to enter in and talk. And now 10 years later, we're like, man, this is so much work. Why did we bother listening to excellent Heath?
What you got yourselves into.
It's for all the sweet cash and ladies.
Got to crawl out of that podcast Sarlacc pit.
Let me tell you, let me put it this way. No, I won't. It'll get us in trouble. All right, so. Hey, for everybody here at Double PHQ, my name's Bubba. You can find me on Twitter at Fit and Trim. That's FITTENTRIM at Fit and Trim on Twitter.
And I'm Catfish. You can hit me up at CJGman67 on Twitter. Your 67th favorite CJG man.
And you'll hear us next time on
Parsec Passion.
I am Boba Fett. All right.
I am Boba Fett.
Wait, you're Boba Fett?
I am the Boba now.
I'm Sparta Boba Fett.